Good evening. Welcome to another episode of OmenG's Stupid Scary Stories. Once again, I'll be reading from Connecticut Ghost Stories and Legends by Thomas D'Agostino and Arlene Nicholson, part of the Haunted America series. Tonight's story is a rather short one. Makens, Bemont house. Ready? Let's begin, shall we? The Makens Bemont house, also known as the Huguenot house, is nestled between two other historic buildings owned by the Historical Society of East Hartford in Martin Park. The home is bounded on one side by the Burnham Blacksmith Shop, circa 1850, and on the other side by the one-room Goodwin Schoolhouse, circa 1820. The two outer buildings are void of spirits, but the Bemont house seems to have some past residents still abiding in the historic abode. Edmund Bemont purchased the property in 1761, and it was there he built his home. In a strange twist of events, he sold the property a few months later. He then bought it back and turned it over to his son, Makens, the same day. Makens was a prosperous saddle maker, owning one of the very few chase carriages in town. A chase is a light two-wheel carriage with a top that folds down. It could be construed as a colonial convertible. The Bemonts were descendants of Huguenots, French Protestants who had fled other parts of the globe to avoid persecution during the 17th century. The name Huguenot House is most likely derived from their religious beliefs. Makens was born in 1743, so he would have been a young man helping to build the home he would eventually own. Makens died on March 5th, 1826. And the home was passed on to his wife and subsequently other family members. The home stayed in the family well into the 19th century before it changed hands. Little is written about the property from the period when the Bemonts owned it until just before the Rosenthal family acquired it in the 20th century. Adolf Rosenthal donated the house to the Historical Society in 1968. The society then moved it in 1971 from Tollin Street, half a mile down the road to Martin Park at 307 Burnside Avenue. This was when the paranormal activity began to come out of the woodwork. Renovations were imminent and began like any normal project, but then the other side took interest in the work being done. Susan Smitten relates a strange incident in Ghost Stories of New England in regard to a certain Herman Marshall who was hired as a restoration consultant. He had locked the door and called the security company to activate the alarms within the vacant structure. The company informed him that they could not initiate the system as there was someone in the house still hammering away at the interior. Marshall could hear the pounding over the phone that was picked up by a microphone they had set up in the house. He went back to the building to investigate but found it completely empty. Even the operator on the other side was baffled as to how the noises abruptly stopped as Marshall entered the building. One day, Marshall heard 3 distinct knocks on the floor coming from the basement. Thinking it was a co-worker needing his attention, he went down into the cellar but found there was no one there. Other workers heard what sounded like hammers banging away in the structure, even after they had locked up for the evening. Whatever it was seemed to sound like it was helping out, so the society named the ghost Benjamin after the biblical translation, son of the right hand. Benjamin made a lot of noise but did not move things much, nor did he really help with the task of restoring the old manor to the splendor now witnessed by those who take a tour of the home. Other incidents have taken place at the house that are not the work of Benjamin's hands. In 1982, a young girl witnessed a blue dress floating across the lawn near the house. When she looked up to see who it was, she was immediately terrified to see that there was no physical body in the garb that seemed to be floating on its own. It has been speculated that the ghost in the blue dress may be that of Abigail Bemont, wife of Edmund and mother of Makens. Mary Dowden of the Historical Society of East Hartford has had a few encounters with the spirits of the house and talks about them quite candidly. One day she was closing up the house for the season with her mother, Doris. The moment they went out to retrieve the signs, the cool overcast day poured forth a dismal rain. Both of them suddenly heard a noise from upstairs that sounded exactly like one of the old wooden windows being pulled closed. Neither of them had opened any of the windows, as it was a cold, damp day. Mary was once given a tour when the spinning wheel in front of the fireplace began to turn slowly. The wheels made several rotations and then reversed itself a few turns before stopping dead. Before this, the wheel had never as much as rattled in its place. Witnesses have seen a woman in the second floor window as well. Some feel it might be the spirit of Abigail Bemont, still watching over her home. The home is a beautifully restored example of 18th century life in New England. Tours are available from June to August. A visit to Martin Park is a wonderful trip back in time, where some of the exhibits are still living. Now, let's talk about Makens Bemont House, shall we? I visited, obviously, because that's what I do. I visit places, you know what I'm saying? I've told you this before. We've established that. Paranormal investigator of sorts. On a never-ending quest to debunk these stories that they say are supposed to be true, which I doubt are true. Stop flashing. Stop it. Anyway, on the time that I went to go visit, it was a warm, sunny, beautiful day. Clear sky, not a cloud in sight. Not a cloud. We got to the house. I was on a tour with two other people. Don't remember what their names were, so for the sake of argument, let's call them Jim and Jane. Right? It was a lady and a guy. I think they were a married couple. Or maybe boyfriend and girlfriend or something. I don't know. But they were together. You know, they came together and I was there. So the tour guide gave us a tour, started talking about Abigail Bemont and Makens and blah, blah, blah. You know, and this dress. Just these stories that I just told you basically already. And I'm thinking, that sounds boring. I don't care about a floating fucking dress. I want to see some ghouls and ghosts. Do you know who I am? Yeah, that's right. I'm Reese. I've been terrified by the most terrible of entities. I can take a little bit more than a floating dress. And she laughed at me and continued the tour. Got into the house, walked in. Immediately I smelled this, smell of old, like dust, old wood. It got in my throat, kind of choked me up. Then all of a sudden, I felt like somebody was grabbing my throat and squeezing it. I looked around at the two that were with me, Jim and Jane. They were listening to some story the tour guide was telling us, and I was busy trying to understand why it felt like I was being choked. Finally, the feeling passed, it went away. And I was still sitting there, a little bit baffled. Thinking to myself, why would a ghost try to choke me? I haven't heard any stories of any violent enemies here, just, a floating dress and Abigail walking around. Anyway, we continued walking through the house, went here, went there, and then they gave us a chance to, do ghost hunter stuff, EVP and spirit boxes and all that shit, and summon the ghosts, sort of like a little seance. So we all sat down at a table, me, Jim, and Jane. The tour guide was like, I don't want to have any parts of this. You guys have at it. This is what you guys do. I just give tours. And she walked out the door and left, closed the door behind her. So I'm sitting there with Jim and Jane. We're holding hands. We've got candles lit and shit. You know, is there any spirits here that want to communicate with us? Jim said. If so, blow out this candle. There was one candle like right in the middle of the table, and then we had each a candle in front of us. Now, you know, we're sitting here staring at this candle, waiting for it to do something. And the candle in front of me, like, falls towards me. A little bit of the hot wax spills on my pants. I'm like, oh shit. There was no gust of wind, no windows open, no doors open. So, you know, we immediately knew that communication, contact had been made. It had been made. And for whatever strange reason, it didn't seem to like me. And I'm not quite sure why. I didn't do anything, as I told you. I was just on the tour. I didn't say anything mean or disrespectful. I wasn't being a dick or a douchebag or any of that shit. I was being calm and collected. You know, after my tour through the Devil's Hop Yard, I wasn't really trying to antagonize anything this time. You know? So I went in respectfully. But that didn't seem to matter, because whatever this entity was did not like me. It had made that known by trying to choke me, and also with knocking the candle down in front of me. So Jim's like, whoa. Is this your sign that you're here? Knock! If that's yes. You heard her. Then all of a sudden I started to hear like a scratching at the door. But not the outside door, the door to the next room over, which I believe was like a bedroom of sorts. At least that's what I think it was. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember off the top of my head. Now, as we are all looking in the direction, all of a sudden, Jane starts squeezing my hand really hard, like she's having a baby or something. You know what I'm talking about, women? Like when you're going through labor and you've got your husband or significant other's hand and you're squeezing the fucking shit out of it, like you're trying to crush those hands, well, fingers, into a malleable paste of putty. That's how hard she was squeezing my hand. I look over to her and her eyes are completely white. She's like in a trance. She's not looking at me, she's not looking at Jim, she's just looking straight ahead at the candle. Eyes completely white, like I said, glossed over, squeezing my hand, and at the same time also squeezing Jim's hand. He's like, Jane! Jane! Jane? Immediately, she shoots up, floating, levitating in the air, right above the table, floats to the center where the candle is. Just floats there, arms out her sides. She begins to rotate slowly around until she's facing me. Now, I'm feeling terrified at this point in time because, like, all the shit that happens seems to be happening to me, and I don't understand why. I really don't. Her head goes back, and when it comes forward, her eyes are completely black. Like those black-eyed kids that they be talking about? Black-eyed children? Yeah, like those. Now, I felt like this tingling sensation from head to toe, and I felt stuck to the chair, like some force was not pushing me into it or pulling me down, but just like I just couldn't get up. You know, like I was paralyzed, but still able to move, but just not stand. It was weird. It was hard. You know, it's kind of hard for me to explain. But here I am. She's looking right at me. Like I can feel this intense feeling of hatred. Like I had done something wrong to this person, you know. And she starts to float towards me. I'm like panicking at this point. You know, Jim is still calling her name. Jane! Jane! Jane, what are you doing? Jane! I'm like, hey, buddy, that's obvious you're not doing something. Hit this bitch, please. She's coming for me. He doesn't want to do that. So he grabs her by the ankles and tries to, you know, restrain her from coming towards me. When he does that, her body falls forward. But she's still floating. So she doesn't hit the table. She floats down towards me. Hands out reach. She grabs a hold of my neck. It starts to strangle me.
Get this bitch off! Get off me! God damn it! Stop!
Broke free. I fell out the chair. Rolled over and jumped up. She snapped out of it, hit the table. Right on top of the candle, burnt herself real quick. Ah! What's going on, guys? Jesus Christ, what am I doing on this table? I said, bitch, you just tried to fucking kill me. I mean, not you, but something took over you and tried to kill me. Don't understand this. Because at this time, we heard the sound of windows opening and closing, like coming up and going down. Then it started to happen everywhere within the house. All the windows would come up and slam down, up and down. Doors were opening and closing, Things were rattling, falling off the walls. It was fucking utter pandemonium. I was shitting my pants. Figuratively. Not literally, figuratively, okay, people? Hadn't eaten before I went, but I'm sure if I did, I probably would have shit my pants. Right on out. Oh, no, Hershey squirts. But that's not what happened. What happened was I backed into a corner, thinking to myself, geez, what am I gonna do? This is not normal. Whatever this is some type of an evil presence, and it does not like me. I heard a voice. Low, light voice. Told me to get out. I said I'd like to. If you don't mind opening and closing the fucking doors, I'm not trying to get my hand or something slammed in there. I'll leave. You'll have no problems out of me. Door swung open. I ran right out. Wasted no time. Jim and Jane were still in there looking dumbfounded and shit. Asking each other all types of questions. I'm like, are y'all coming? Because I'm done. We're finished. I'm not doing this anymore. And as far as I know, you need more than 2 people for a fucking seance or whatever. And we were supposed to work together, and I don't want to work on this house anymore. I'm done. This is like 3 times. 3 strikes, I'm out. That's how I feel about it, right? I felt a presence behind me. Turn around, and there's this blue dress. The floating blue dress that they were talking about. And just like the young girl, I was terrified. And you're probably saying, well, you were talking all that shit before about not being terrified about a blue dress. Oh, devil's hop yard and all this other shit you've been dealing with. A floating blue dress is no big deal, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking before this shit tried to fucking kill me, right? Now I'm thinking maybe whatever it is that took over her might be the same thing that's floating around in this blue dress, right? So I immediately reach in my pocket. I keep my little blessed oil with me. Now, ever since that whole thing with Satan and the devil's hop yard and the millions of demons that he tried to send after me, I keep my blessed oil with me. So I splash some on the dress. Splash. Or splush. Because oil doesn't really splash. It more splushes. So I splushed it on the dress. Splush. It hit the dress. Dress immediately burst into blue flame. I saw a figure emerge from the flames, blackened. It was just dark blackened. Red, fiery eyes. I know, a lot of things have red eyes when they're evil and shit. That's just what it is. What color do you want me to tell you? They were green, purple. They were fucking red. Like fire. They were red. This being, whatever it was, whoever it was, yelled out in pain. So I knew whatever it was definitely not on the side of good. Because this is blessed oil, I'm telling you. It's blessed. It's got me through quite a few harrowing situations. Quite a few. I should have had it with me when I went to the Devil's Hop Yard, but, I forgot it like a jackass. Now I'm watching this figure engulfed in the blue flames writhe in agony, like it feels this. That's when I start thinking to myself, could this be a demon? Could this be one of the demons still attached to me from when I went to the hop yard. Thinking to myself, no, that's not possible, you know? Why would it attack me here and not anywhere else? I hopped on the phone, I called the priest that did the blessing and shit, and I asked him some questions. He told me a story which scared me immensely. Made me think about my future in hunting ghosts and investigating the paranormal. He told me that anywhere I go where there is a gateway to the other side, that there is the potential for those demons to only be able to find me in those places, but to be able to follow me around anywhere was no longer possible for them. So I was safe in certain places, but any place where there was this gateway between sides, I was at risk of drawing them in and corrupting the spirits that lied within these gateways. Short of it is, when I'm going to haunted places that are haunted, demons can corrupt the fucking haunted area and get my ass. So that's what was attacking me at the Makens Bemont house. Unfortunately, he had corrupted Abigail. Her soul was no longer free to just roam and walk around and look over her house like she was doing before. She was now entangled in this perpetual battle between good and evil. The hunt for my soul. I started thinking, do I want to continue on investigating? And I felt bad because, you know, up until that point, this house was a decent place to visit. The spirits weren't angry, they didn't attack things or hurt anyone. I went home. I thought long and I thought hard. And I thought some more. It was only right. I was going to have to go back to that house and cleanse it. Release her from her imprisonment with the demons. But how? How, you say? Well, I figured out a way. You know, I called the priest up again. Hey, you know, he told me I'll need this, that, and the other. That, the other, and this. So I gathered those things. I prayed long and I prayed hard. I didn't want her to spend an eternity in agony and pain, tortured by the demons out for me. It wasn't fair. I had to set things right. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I was scared shitless. I was scared. I mean, what if things went awry? My soul ended up corrupted, or even worse, dead, gone, snatched into the nether regions of demonic possession, never to be the same again. I mean, I was never going to be the same again anyway, after all the shit that I've been seeing, so that, you know, my life of normalcy was over. So I took on a new moniker. No longer was I Mr. Paranormal Investigator and trying to prove things wrong. I was out to set things right. Free these spirits from their chains, binding them to this earth in eternal agony. I went back late night. You know, I was asked not to come back there at all because of, you know, they thought I was in there slamming doors and windows and shit, just being a douchebag because of the way I ran out of there. And then they thought I set a fire on the lawn for no apparent reason. They didn't seem to understand that the fire was some supernatural fucking being of the paranormal kind. So I was banned. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. Nope. So I went back late. Late. Found the alarm system, disabled it, opened the window, and I crept in. Went to the same table that we had the seance before, and I got my special candles, made with a special wax, a very special wax. not going to tell you what kind of wax it is. Just know that it's special. Blessed wax. I set them up on the table. 7 of them. Only 7. I lit each candle. They glowed a bright white. You've never seen candles like these before, trust me, because I made them. You've never seen them, and I can't describe them to you other than that they were special, blessed candles that only I had because I made them for this purpose alone. This purpose alone. I made a circle around the table with my blessed oil to trap myself inside a bubble of safety and to keep whatever may have been inside of it with me, inside of it with me. Rub some on myself. Sort of like a suit of blessed armor. I sat down at the table and I put my hands on it. And I said, "Where are you, you little fucks? I know you want to steal my soul and destroy me. I know who sent you. But you must release Abigail Bemont now. She has nothing to do with this. This is between you and me." The candles on the table began to flicker violently. Like they were trying, like something was blowing on them, right? But they're special candles, so they wouldn't go out. I heard a rumbling, almost like something heavy driving down the road. It turned out to be a truck driving by. I was getting nervous for a hot second there. I thought the house was shaking. And it was, but not because of anything supernatural. It was like a big truck was driving by. Anyway, so I call out again. "What demon are you? What demon has he sent this time to accost me, take my soul?" I heard a low rumbling growl in the background with a hiss, then a whisper, and a name was spoken. I don't know how to say it. It's one of those things that you can hear it and understand it, but to reproduce that same thing orally is impossible because it just is. Trust me. I tried saying its name, and I can't say its name, but let's just call it Azazel for the sake of argument. You know, that's a demon name, right? Right. So we're going to call it Azazel just for today. Anyway, Azazel made himself known. He appeared in the corner of the room that I was sitting at the table, but he was outside my circle. He started to prowl around, up on the ceiling, up on the walls, scurrying about. He's about maybe 4 or 5 feet tall, not very tall, but he was very evil looking, spines on his back, claws, sharp, jagged teeth, 4 red eyes in the middle of his face. It's very, it's an evil creature. He spoke to me inside my head. He didn't speak out loud. Most demons don't. Most demons speak to you in your mind. It's not an audible sound, but you can hear it if you get what I'm saying.
Satan will have you. He will have you.
No, he won't. That's a battle he's not gonna win, bitch. Now, I command thee to let Abigail Bemont go. I splashed him with oil. He jumped out of the way.
You're gonna have to do better than that, human. I've been around for millennia, corrupting, destroying, consuming, eating, terrifying the worst of the worst, the best of the best. You think that your oil will stop me?
I said, stand still long enough and let me splash you with some, and let's find the fuck out, bitch. Stop hopping around and shit. He didn't like that at all. You know, being antagonized and calling a bitch. He hissed at me and I tried to hop on the table. But as soon as he came near that ring that I had created with the oil, it was like an electric fence for him. He hit it. Hit the floor. I splashed him. He caught on fire. It was magnificent. The flames were bright white, like my candles. I grabbed my book, started reading the incantations, prayers, chants, spells, if you will. He writhed on the ground in agony.
Stop it. Stop it. You can't kill me. You can't. If you destroy me, you'll destroy Abigail. You'll condemn her soul to an eternity of suffering.
So I stopped. I didn't want to catch any innocent people in the mix. It was then that I saw the blue dress float into the room. She took the shape of herself. She was crying, tears from her eyes. "Please, save me," she whimpered. I said, "I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I came back. I didn't want you to suffer for an eternity. That'd be terrible." I felt heavy. Heart. Terrible, I felt. I had bought this on her. She didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve this at all. Azazel's still writhing around on the ground, feeling the pain. I grabbed my book again. I began to speak the words from the book. This made him angry as hell, but it hurt him at the same time. I had to weaken him. So all I could do was to weaken him. Weaken his hold on this poor woman. He was sucking the energy from her goodness to feed himself, and I had to break this bond in order to set her free. I put on my gauntlets. Blessed gauntlets, like, the things that they wear in the old, like, crusades and shit, like, for knights. Put them on. I grabbed a hold of him. Holding him by his throat. Just choking him. He had a snake's tongue. Came out, licked the side of my face, and burned. Choked him harder. I said, "Demon, you will die. You will die, demon! Let go of her soul!" Then he did some old bitch shit and kicked me in my fucking nuts. I didn't let go of his neck, though. I held on tight. I was mad. Tried to kick him in his nuts, but he didn't have any nuts. Or it, I should say, didn't have any nuts. I was mad. Shit hurt. It really did hurt. He's thrashing about. I managed to get him into a chokehold. Flip around and get behind him. I got my arm wrapped around him and it's locked up. Choking the shit out of him. Die, demon! Die! His mouth is open, trying to breathe. His tongue is lashing about. Tail trying to smack me so he could be free. Then I kept one arm on him and reached in my pocket. Got the blessed oil and I poured it right in his fucking mouth. Then I pushed him into the ring. He jumped up. He couldn't get out. He was trapped. And Abigail was on the other side, so I knew she was safe. I had broken the bond. I looked at the demon, trapped as he was, weakened. He began to beg, plead.
Don't destroy me. I'll never bother you again, I promise. Just let me return to the nether realm where I belong and I will never come back. Please, please.
No. I do not trust you at all. I'm not even gonna take any fucking chances. Besides, if I let you go, you'll go back to your boss. You'll tell him what happened here, and you'll warn him of my new powers, my newfound strength in fighting your minions. I can't have that, Zazel. I can't have it. Your end is now. I reached into my bag and I got my blessed shotgun. Loaded a round of holy ammo. And I shot him right in the face. Boom! Head exploded. Black blood everywhere. Abigail floated over to me and put her hand on my shoulder. I felt the warmth. It was a good feeling I felt. She said, "Thank you. Thank you." Then she floated away. I looked down at my scene that I had left of carnage killing this demon. I was proud. They'll know not to fuck with me. I mean, Satan's gonna find out about this shit anyway. Trust me, he'll realize, oh shit, my demon didn't come back. I sent him to go kill that asshole that was running around in my hop yard talking shit. I was also the one that kicked me in my nuts in the 7.5 dimension of fucking hell, that bastard. Yeah. I know he remembers. I packed up my candles. I said one last prayer to bless the house, to close the portal of evil that had opened up within it. I got to the front door and I remembered I came through the window, so I should probably go back out through the same window that I came in from. So I did. Climbed out. Reactivated the alarm system so that it was working the way it was supposed to. I didn't want them to think somebody broke in and was there to vandalize or steal anything. And then I remember, oh shit, I blew his fucking head off. There's gonna be demon mess all over the fucking house. Oh well, I don't have time to clean it, and it's a haunted house, so, people will come there and be like, oh god, something happened here of supernatural and paranormal nature. And they'll probably get more money and shit. More tours. More tours, more money. Good for them, right? Yeah. So I didn't clean it up. I got back in my car, and like I always do, I hopped in the car and started on my way home. Was driving down this road, hopped on the highway. I was almost home, maybe 10 minutes away. I looked in the rearview mirror because I do this constantly now. I'm paranoid. I mean, I know the priest blessed me and gave me all these, said he broke the bond and shit, but I'm still cautious. As I looked into the rearview mirror, I saw Abigail smiling at me. She started to glow a nice, warm, yellowy light. Then she dissipated into these streams of light. It started to swirl around me as I was driving, and I just felt good, accomplished. Sort of like I did the very first day that I went without ever drinking a drop of alcohol. And then the day after that, and the day after that, that sense of accomplishment, that sense of achievement, that's what I felt at this moment. And then the light just went away. Pulled up to my house, walked in, realized I had a piece of Azazel's face on my face, and swept it off, took a shower, said some prayers before I went to bed, and I went to bed. Woke up the next morning, and the newspaper said something that I wasn't expecting to see. I thought that I had cleansed the house. Apparently, all I did was free Abigail from her entanglement with the house. But I hadn't closed the door. When the tour guides got there in the morning and the caretaker went to, check the house, make sure everything was in order, he was attacked. Brutally murdered. No one knows who, but they did say that his chest was ripped open and his heart removed. an upside-down cross carved into his forehead. They found his heart on the table, with a really strange dagger stabbed through it. So immediately the police were looking for members of maybe a satanic occult. Some type of ritual sacrifice is what they thought it was. But I knew better. I knew that this was not over. That as long as I continued on my quest for answers in the paranormal and my battle against the demons of evil, that these types of things were going to happen. I had become a soldier, enlisted in the war against evil, like I said, and demons, Satan and stuff. And I'm not a religious guy, so don't think that this has anything to do with religion, people. It doesn't. So don't get all like turned off or turned on in either way. This is just a fucking crazy ass experience that I did have. I believe in the powers of good. I believe that good can conquer evil if wielded properly, just like any weapon. But yes, I was disturbed by what I read. In the morning. I looked in the mirror, and behind me I saw a shadow figure. I turned and I looked it straight in its shadowy form. I said, this isn't over. This is never going to be over until I win, or the forces of good conquer all. He said, you sound like a fucking sap. I was like, oh shit, you talk? Didn't know you guys could talk. I thought you just like peeked around corners and shit like that. He said, one day Satan will have you. And when he does, he's going to have some motherfucking fun with your fucking soul. I was like, yeah, well, until that day comes, he can kiss my fucking ass, because I'm going to keep fucking up every single fucking demon that he sends. And every portal I find, I will close it. For good. I messed up last time. Should have closed the fucking door properly. But this time, next time, I will. I'll see you again. Don't you worry about it. There's plenty of sites that I have on my map to visit. And I know that you'll be there. You or your minions and fucking comrades in arms of evil. This won't end until I stomp you out. And the light rains. The shadow disappeared. And I turned and I looked in the mirror at myself. Long and hard. Because I knew ahead of me was a battle. One that would rage on for many more years to come. Thank you for joining me tonight for another stupid, scary story.